When a man came across an ailing hedgehog during one of his walks, he decided to lend a helping hand. Little did he anticipate the chain of events that would unfold as a result of his altruistic act. Jerome had always been an avid animal lover. Residing in a cozy apartment on the outskirts of the city, he relished the blend of city and country life that surrounded him. Every morning and afternoon, Jerome took his faithful canine companion for long walks, a cherished routine that provided solace and joy in his quiet, introverted existence. But sadly, Jerome's canine companion eventually succumbed to old age, leaving him with a profound void to fill. Coping with the loss was a challenging endeavor, particularly given his preference for the company of animals over people. Jerome lived alone and found solace in the presence of his furry friends. Following the passing of his beloved dog, Jerome clung to his daily walking routine as a means of solace. Without the need to consider his pet's comfort and patterns, he felt liberated to explore new routes and become more intimately acquainted with his surroundings. It was on one of these exploratory walks that Jerome stumbled upon a local park he had never noticed before, hidden amidst the foliage. While traversing the park, he spotted what initially appeared to be a cluster of burrs, partially concealed by underbrush. Curiosity piqued, Jerome approached the mysterious cluster. To his surprise, the clump of burrs emitted a faint hiss as he drew near, and he soon realized that it was not a cluster of burrs at all. It was a living hedgehog. Upon closer inspection, Jerome understood why he had mistaken the hedgehog for an inanimate object until he approached. The poor creature was in a feeble and incapacitated state, struggling to move even the slightest bit. The hedgehog was clearly injured or unwell, and Jerome couldn't bear to see yet another animal battling for its life. He couldn't walk away without trying to help, so for the next several minutes, Jerome carefully devised a plan to pick up the hedgehog without risking injury to himself. When he finally lifted the creature from the ground, he spoke aloud and humorously inquired about its name, recognizing that the sound of his voice could be comforting to an animal in distress. In a near-comical fashion, a couple of the hedgehog's quills stood on end, which Jerome found endearing, as if the creature had acknowledged his question and responded. Jerome decided to give the hedgehog an affectionate nickname, dubbing it Spike. With formalities out of the way, Jerome cradled Spike in his hands and embarked on the journey home. After what felt like an eternity, he reached his vehicle and headed straight for the nearest animal clinic. As Jerome and Spike entered the clinic, they garnered curious looks from onlookers. It was not a common sight to see a man arriving with a wild hedgehog cradled in his hands. Fortunately, the commotion drew the attention of a veterinarian on her lunch break, who came to the lobby to investigate. Upon hearing Jerome's explanation, the generous vet offered to examine Spike during her break. Her assessment revealed that the hedgehog was indeed unwell and required emergency surgery. The following day, Jerome returned to the clinic, arriving 2 hours before opening time, and the vet performed the necessary procedure on Spike, waiving any charges. After the surgery, Spike was utterly exhausted and slept soundly for an extended period. Jerome was on the verge of leaving, thinking he had fulfilled his duty and that Spike was now under professional care. However, the vet stopped him to clarify that she lacked the proper resources to provide long-term care for the tiny creature. Immediate release into the wild would spell certain doom for Spike. With a sense of responsibility and sentimentality, Jerome purchased a cage, food, and all the essentials required for his newfound hedgehog guest. Spike temporarily became a resident in Jerome's apartment. Feeling sentimental and nostalgic, Jerome decided to take Spike with him on his walks once a week, much like he had done with his beloved dog. Every Friday, they embarked on this shared adventure. Jerome relished the companionship and the knowledge that exposing Spike to its natural habitat played a crucial role in its recovery. Over the course of a few weeks, Jerome became a familiar face in the area, recognized and affectionately referred to as the King of the Hedgehogs. His newfound reputation attracted not just one, but two individuals who approached Jerome with their hedgehog-related inquiries. Jerome found himself in a peculiar situation, as he had no expertise in the subject of hedgehogs. His involvement had simply been a matter of being in the right place at the right time when he had rescued Spike. Nonetheless, the earnest requests for help from two well-meaning individuals left him feeling both surprised and unsure. The first time Jerome believed it might be a prank, a teenager approached him and claimed to have found another injured hedgehog. Skeptical, Jerome followed the teen to a small plot of land on the city's outskirts. To his astonishment, it wasn't a prank. There truly was an ailing hedgehog where the teenager had indicated. Jerome, recalling his previous experience, gave the new hedgehog a nickname, Prickles, and promptly took it to his trusted veterinarian. The staff at the clinic couldn't believe their eyes when Jerome arrived cradling a different hedgehog. They vividly remembered the first incident just weeks earlier when Jerome had brought Spike in for treatment. The vet, upon realizing the situation, advised Jerome to follow the same protocol as before. Thus, the next morning, Jerome brought Prickles to the vet for care, procured additional hedgehog accommodations, and resumed his routine. Soon after, Jerome encountered yet another person who claimed to have found a young, abandoned hedgehog. This time, they were equally serious, and Jerome followed them outside the city. He was amazed when he saw the tiny baby hedgehog in person. Jerome had gone from never seeing a hedgehog to saving the lives of 3 of them in a remarkably short span. With experience on his side, he called the vet once more, and with her approval, brought the 3rd hedgehog, whom he named Madame Pointy, for treatment. Jerome remained in close contact with the vet, who had also become deeply invested in the welfare of these animals. After months of care and recuperation, all 3 hedgehogs were healthy and ready to return to their natural habitat. Saying goodbye to Spike, Prickles, and Madame Pointy was emotionally challenging for Jerome, reminiscent of the grief he had felt upon his dog's passing. The vet accompanied Jerome on the day of the release. Together, they opened the cages, allowing the hedgehogs to return to the wild simultaneously. Watching them quickly scurry into the bushes brought smiles to both Jerome and the vet, their eyes welling up with tears at the heartwarming sight. Mr. House Mather, with all 3 hedgehogs safely back in their natural environment, something truly wonderful occurred for Jerome. It was a beautiful moment, and it touched both their hearts deeply. Jerome had never intended to house these animals, yet he had devoted a significant amount of time and resources to their care. The vet, intimately familiar with the mixed emotions that arise when releasing an animal back into the wild, had a revelation. She recalled a family who had been seeking a loving home for their elderly dog, unable to provide the necessary care due to limited resources. The vet proposed the idea to Jerome, and upon hearing the story, he eagerly embraced the opportunity to welcome a new canine companion into his life. Jerome's face lit up with joy as he embarked on this new animal-loving mission. From that day forward, he had a new 4-legged friend to accompany him on his daily walks. In reflection, Jerome's actions were a testament to his kindness and compassion for animals in need. His willingness to go the extra mile to help these hedgehogs regain their health and strength showcases his remarkable dedication to animal welfare. The heartwarming story also highlights the beautiful ripple effect of kindness, as it led to the adoption of an elderly dog, ensuring a better life for yet another beloved animal.